All right, we have landed once again with the Quantum Cafe and Interstellar Lounge with your host here, the Cosmic Messenger, and all sorts of topics will be shared with all these videos about navigating multidimensionary reality, stuff for everyday use, and also for individuals who have done the work and are reaching the higher frequencies and need some increased galactic knowledge about what's going down in these plasma wild DNA accelerating times. We have landed here once again, and I'd like to talk to you today about speaking your truth. Before that, I just want to spit something out there. Chiron just went into Aries. It takes 50 years for Chiron to do a full return to where it originally was placed in your birth chart, and 50 years to complete a whole cycle. It has a regular pattern as it goes through its orbit and as it travels through the houses. So when it gets to Aries in particular, it's a lot longer than most of the houses, so 8 years is where it's going to be there. So that's an incredibly long time. So get ready for wild, transformative, action-packed times as we bridge the inner world and the outer world together, because it lies between Saturn and Uranus. And that increases the potency of the astral realms being brought in and our physical realms internally coming together so that the two can meet. And it is known as the wounded healer, but that's your greatest ally because it's the very thing that you can use to teach others as well. So that said, here we are in the age of Aquarius, and we have landed once again. The rocket fuel has been ignited. Whoa. And it's been a wild week. So good. Okay, so speaking your truth. Why are we speaking our truth? What does this mean, and what does this hold for us? We are living in an age right now where the rebel, the true authentic you, and everything channeled inside of you can come fully up and out as an intuition metaphorical experience that links together the collective. Now, by speaking your own truth, you're allowing the space for others to speak their truth too. And by not holding anything back, you become that vibratory experience as well as you're navigating around on planet Earth. If we hold these things back, we create tension, we create dis-ease, we create all sorts of inner turmoil, and also the courage that we have to just be our full authentic selves. If everybody was speaking their own truth all the time, it would be a very different experience down here on Earth. Now, as we're changing the paradigm, this big, long, millennium-long paradigm shift, we have to realize that there is so much inside of us that if we all just shared it, that would be an everyday experience. And as we get accustomed to new things happening in our environments, over time, they become normalized. So if we normalize speaking truth, but always having a dose of knowing that it's extremely magical, then we can keep that activity going on into the fields. And then when you bring it out, you're not this wild one over here on the corner or speaking these multi-dimensionary, oh, that's a little bit too weird for me, I don't know about that stuff. So we need to basically start to clear the slate. That happens organically in some fashion with passing things down through the bloodlines and things changing. But we're at a place now where we can't hold back anymore. There is way too much wild activity happening, and with all these modalities coming up, all the ancient tech coming back to the surface, you can do anything right now. Past life regression, you can go and get your DNA tuned up, you can have a long energy session and then have all sorts of downloads happen in the next week. So how are we going to receive this information if everybody keeps holding it inside? We might read it in a book, and that might be transmitted to you, and then you convert it into your own knowledge, information, wisdom. But if it's housed inside of you, nobody else can hear or experience these elements. And a lot of the times we wonder if it has any validity because it didn't skyrocket fast or become super famous right off the bat. That doesn't matter. The cosmos, prime creator, great spirit, you, it's all the same. That will guide the natural process through the true, authentic, organic, and evolved cosmic laws. everything will end up in its right place at its right time doing the right thing. If you are meant to have that happen, then it will spread really fast. And in other ways, we're meant to just teach our family or people close in our area. But at the end of the day, it's all equalized. Because in another incarnation, when you come back, you may very well have to practice. You could be famous. Everybody knows everything I've done. I wrote the book. It sold 1 billion copies. And the next lifetime, you come back. And you only get to share your info with just a few people around you. Perhaps the info you find that next time is even more what we call now extreme, which is really just extra special. Also, by speaking your own truth, then you can trust your own intuition, because then all the natural flow of everything comes out inside of you. It's like practicing it on a regular basis, knowing that your galactic cord to the center of the galaxy, down into Earth, and anything that you receive, and that you naturally speak from your heart, from a feeling center, will come out as true as it can possibly be at that exact moment. Plus, there's all sorts of realizations and wild times that are happening now. I mean, when it comes to chemtrails and our painted skies, when it comes to the deep state and the super matrix within, when it comes to the mainstream media and creating completely fabricated stories, or beaming frequencies in to control the weather, perhaps insert mind thought patterns, subliminal messages, just reading through the entirety of the medical system, the placebo effects, all of the side effects that comes with it, the burying of all of the wonderful holistic healings that are basically coming out now, and they're just going to keep coming. And having a control over the goods and services, knowing a lot more about what's going on in the cosmos and not sharing it with us, how the solar system's been reconfigured, our history's been messed with. So you go off, right? And all that sort of stuff. But each of us has a piece of the puzzle inside of us that discovers these things. And to put the whole totality together, we need all of us. There is more to be discovered. Inner Earth, what's really going on down there. There's a whole nother ecosystem, a whole nother reality. And the fact that we're only taught the third, fourth, and maybe the fifth dimension, and first and second, but then, at least for what there's infinite dimensions, but what we're operating with right now is going to be a 22-dimensional structure, one that changes the entire fabric of reality. We're taught to nostalgically go into the past. So anyhow, all these things come out. And I know lots of you out there have these pieces inside of you. And when you see those realities and you hold on to them, and we run in fear because we're scared of what possibly that reality might do to our minds, body, and soul. Really, it's a gigantic opening of love, understanding, and wild, fantastical times. But if it scares us off, then that very thing that we just found gets buried, repressed, and pushed away, only to resurface again one day. Eventually, it will all come out again. So if there's so much going on the planet like that, which all that information is out there, but it is time that it reaches mass on a super conscious scale. So whoever finds that stuff has to spit it out. I have all this knowledge that I'm spitting out with you today. It came from myself, from my own world. I created the magnet that drew it all to me. But I'm very much grateful for all the other beings who brought these things into light. Our language is coded, English, and many other ones. So there's a lot to learn about what has been really taking place. And in order to hear more about that stuff, we do need to share. And everybody's a master in their own department. So it's okay if we just get a glimpse of everything. We don't have to have the deepest understanding of it all. But knowing in our hearts that when something resonates with truth, and that spirit right in front of us puts the signal out in front of us. On top of that, we create spaces for then when we talk about what we really want to talk about. It was a little bit relating to my post before about having the opportunity to speak the cosmic talk. But then also sharing these at times uncomfortable truths, and other times they're colorful, beautiful, and mystical at the same time. So bringing it all into source and allowing yourself to not hold back no longer. What is the point of putting up a wall? The only thing it does is create a barrier from you and your true authentic self. And we are flying through the age of Aquarius in a photonic band. That happens during Aquarius and Leo. They're polarized, so they spin together. And during those two times is where every single thing becomes transparent. So if you're holding something inside of you, this video is for you. Let it out. Share it with the world. And yes, at times there's going to be some blockages and people are going to react certain ways and you're going to have different experiences go down. But just keep going. A thought for the day would be to move on. If you're having a blockage and that angle's not taking anywhere, keep sharing your truth. But just move to where it's more resonating with. We got the internet, all this stuff. We have lots of communities where we can go out there and do our thing. Things are extremely distorted right now and at the same time potent and magical like never before. Just go for it anyways. The only way you can do it is by changing yourself. So we can't concern ourselves with what others are doing. That's their reality. If we draw something to us, though, constantly, we do need to take a deep look at why that keeps finding us. I'm not free of anything. It happens to every single one of us, no matter where we put ourselves up in this so-called hierarchy. Okay? Shape-shifting's real, all this stuff. Okay, cool. Speak your truth. Where'd you get that from? Sometimes it's an inner knowing. And when you meet another being that has an inner knowing too, you don't have to reference every single spot that you found it from. That part is going to pinch and dissolve as well. And that way, whenever we're creating our new systems, we're able to integrate information, knowledge, and wisdom that can then enter our history books, enter our education pieces, and become longer foundations that everything will always change anyways, but doesn't need to be completely rewritten and outdated because the next edition came out in a year from now. And as far as speaking my truth, well, here's one for you. I think that Pluto was demoted as a planet because when it was discovered, and if you look at what Pluto's qualities really mean now, I have that in my birth chart as well too, pinned at 22 degrees, right near my ascendant. You take Pluto, and Pluto gets demoted. Why? Because it's the core source finder of the deepest bone cellular structure inside of you, of every possible pattern that could go for your highest benefit. Digs really, really deep. Well, we don't want people to pay attention to that because then they're going to be healed and become whole and healthy. Anyhow, that's a wild talk about speaking your truth. Just bring it on, lay it out, and bring it forth to the table. And you do know when you're sharing something and you're not sharing truth. It's okay if things fall apart a little bit. But just recalibrate, take a moment, breathe deep, get back on the train, and continue forward. Okay? These are wild, amazing times. And it's been a fantastic moment sharing this information with you. Bye-bye.